Hello and welcome to our today's lesson on statistics. Um, so we are in the middle of our stats unit, and we're gonna dive in right into lesson 3, which is weighted means. So weighted means. So welcome to those people who are joining us today. Um, so last week we talked about means, right? And when we talk about the means, we said that the mean, we can calculate the mean by adding things up and then dividing it by how many data there are or how many scores there are. Now, what's the difference between mean and weighted mean? So let's take a look. A weighted mean occurs when some of the scores used to calculate the mean are given more importance than the others. So, weighted mean um, tells us that there are some data or some scores that are more important than the others. To calculate the weighted mean, so this is the way to do that. This is how to do it. To calculate the weighted mean, we multiply each score by its weight. So we multiply each score by its weight. Then the result is divided by the total of all of the weights. The total of the weights. So here's a formula. Here's a formula here. Okay. So weighted mean is equal to score times the weight plus score times the weight plus score times the weight. And then dot, 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 depending on how many scores there are, that will just continue on. So figure all of that out. And then once we figure that out, we have to divide it by the sum of weights. That means sum, meaning we add up all the weights. Now, it's a little bit challenging to understand that. I think it would make it easier to do an example, understand it using the example. So example number 1, Bronwyn took Essentials 40S last semester. She scored 95% on his work, okay, on the work, and 65% on her provincial exam. So there are two things that's going on in here. She has classwork and she has exam. Okay, so you take a look at this. It says calculate her final grade if classwork is weighted 80% and final assessment is weighted 20%. Now you can see here that the classwork is weighted, has a greater importance. It's greater, has a bigger weight compared to the provincial exams. I'll write that down. Classwork weight is 80% and provincial exam, just go like that, is only 20%. So the mark, I'll put the word weight. Okay. So classwork is 80% important, whereas provincial exam is 20% important. So when we look at these two, it makes sense that, hey, whatever I do in classwork is more important than the provincial exam, right? So this is what she's thinking. So what is her final grade? Final grade would be the weighted mean. Okay. So how can we figure out the weighted mean? So it says there She scored 95% on classwork. So the score is 95%. The score is 95% on the classwork times the weight on that classwork. The weight is 80%. Okay. So 95%, that's her score, 95%. And the weight on classwork is 80%. So score times the weight plus, okay, I put a little bit of space there, just because later on when we type it in, where it's so many times and so many pluses, it's so put a little bit of space there. And then over here, 65% is the score, 65% on what she got on the provincial exam times the weight of the provincial exam. Okay, so this is the score times the weight plus score times the weight. Those are the only two. Divided by the total weights. Total weight. Well, this is 80% weight and then 20% weight. That makes it 100%. 100%. Okay, so let's do the math here. 95 times 80, 95 times 80 plus 65 times 20 equals 8,900. Okay, so we figured out the numerator first, and then we're going to divide by the denominator. So 8,900 divided by 100 is equals to 89%. So her final mark is 89%. Okay. Now, letter D, it says here, the average of 95 and 65 is 80%. So explain why Bronwyn's final grade is higher than 80%. So if we just take the regular average, if we take just the regular mean or average, it's 95 plus 65 divided by 2. Okay, so 95 plus 65 is 160 divided by 2. That's 80%. But then you're probably thinking, this is 89. Why is that? Because in regular mean, that's the one that we learned in lesson 1. In regular mean, the classwork and provincial exam are worth or weighted equally. The word weighted means what is actually its worth. Which one is worth more, right? Whereas in weighted mean, classwork weighs more than the exam. Okay, so that's why they're different. Okay, So if we actually had provincial exam, this is how your mark will be calculated. 80% of the classwork that we do, that includes assignments and the tests, and then provincial exam is only 20%. Okay, so now let's take a look at example number 2. So I'm just going to wait. I know that some people are joining us right now live on stream. I'm just going to wait here if there's anything in here that you want me to um, discuss again, or if you have any questions before I dive into example number 2. Okay, so I'm guessing there's no questions, so we're just going to go straight to example number 2. And at any time, like during the lesson, if you have any questions, just type it out. I know that I can't hear you, but I could read the live chat here if you have any questions. So let's go to example number 2. Jimin had the following result during his recent social work course at Red River College. Essay is 420 out of 500 marks. Okay. And then presentation got 57 out of 70 marks. Okay. So these are the only two things that are evaluated for his course: essay and presentation. So let's just take a look. If Jimin got 420 out of 500 marks, what would be Jimin's percent on that one? What was the score? So 420. So I'm just going to take a look here. 420 divided by 500, okay, times 100. So Jimin on his essay got an 84%. Okay, so I go 84%. That's the score on essay. Okay, so just to see what that looks like again, how I got 84%. Okay, I'm just going to erase this one again, just show you how I got 84%. I got 420 divided by 500. Okay, I'm going to get 0.84. And then to make it a percent, so timesing it by 100%, so it's 84%. Okay, so that's the score for essay. Now, what about this one? For presentation, 57 out of 70. So 57 divided by 70, okay, whatever that is. 57 divided by 70 is approximately 0.8142 times 100 times 100. So it's 81 point, I'll just write it off into 2 decimal places. Okay, so that's 81.43% is the score that he got on his presentation. Okay, so calculate Jimin's final grades if the term mark and exam mark are equally weighted. Equally weighted. So when they say equally weighted, means, we can say just a normal mean, or like a regular mean, right? So that's just mean or average. So she got 84% plus 81.43% divided by 2. Okay, so 84 plus 81.43 is 165.43 divided by 2, and it's going to be 82.72%. 82.72%. So letter A is Jimin's final grade when supposed to be, this one's supposed to be, let's erase that and erase that. I think this is wrong. If the essay and presentation. Okay, so erase this part here because there's no term mark there, and I think this is supposed to be presentation. If essay and presentation are equally weighted. Okay, so that's that mark. Okay. And we're now on example number 2, letter B. Now we're going to calculate Jimin's final grade if the essay are weighted 35% and the presentation is weighted 65%. So when we look at this one here, between essay and presentation, which one has a more important mark for him? Okay, the most important mark would be the presentation because it's worth 65% of the mark. So presentation is more important because it has a greater weight, greater worth, which is 65% of the mark. So here, this is going to be the weighted mean. Weighted mean. And you'll see that. You'll know that it's weighted mean because it will tell you it's weighted. Okay. So weighted mean. Okay. So what did he get on his essay? Essay, he got 84%. That's the score. Times, what's the weight on the essay? The weight on the essay is 35%. Okay, plus, okay, and then now presentation. In presentation, got 57 out of 70, which is 81.43%. That's the score. Times, what's the weight on the presentation? Weight is 65. All of that is being divided by the sum of the weights. Well, these are the weights, 35 and 65. The sum would be adding them up together. So 65 plus 35, that's going to give us 100%. Okay. So now let's figure out the numerator. Let's do the math up there and then keep on going. Okay, I'm going to see if I can show that. 84 times 35 plus 81.43 times 65 equals, just write that down, 8,232.95. Okay, so if you're doing this with me or if you're watching it later on, yeah, give this a try. Like, recalculate everything just as like I'm doing it right now, just to kind of verify everything. So I'm just going to double check that. 84 score times the weight is 35 plus 81.43 times the weight, which is 65, is 8,232.95 divided by 100. And then I'll get divide by 100, I get 82.33. I'm going to try to squeeze it in here. Well, maybe it's not a good idea. Let's erase that one. I'll just put it in the bottom. 82.33%. Okay, there you go. Okay. I'll give you a moment to just take a look at that again. And if you have any questions, please type it into our live chat. Okay. So that's that. Let's go on to example number 3. Example number 3 on page 10. It says here, there is a movement in Major League Baseball to use weighted mean to calculate the batting average. So this one here is talking about sports. And in sports, they keep the statistics of each player, meaning like that's how they measure who's a good player and who's not so good. So they use the weighted mean to calculate the batting average. Okay, batting average means weighted mean. In this new system, each type of hits carries a different weight. So a player was at bat 28 times. 28 times. He struck out 5 times. Struck out 5 times. Hit singles 4 times. 4 singles. Hit 5 doubles and 6 triples and then 8 home runs. Oh, that's pretty good. Okay. So this is when he got struck out 5 times. He got a single hit, hit 4 singles, 5 doubles, 6 triples, and then 8 home runs. Each of these result carries a different weight. So strike out. So these ones, as you can see, they're telling us the weight of those hits. So strikeout has a weight 0. A single has a weight 1. Double has a weight 2. Triple has a weight 3. And home run has a weight 4. So what we're going to do is, I know that we have so much information going all at the same time. And let's see here. What we're going to do is we're going to look at score and weight. So okay, so before we get into that one, I'm just going to take a look at this one in here. Okay, carries a different. Sometimes you are not provided the weights, but you are provided with a frequency. Okay, the frequency of a score is a number that represents the number of times that a score appears in a set of data. To calculate the weighted mean when using frequency, simply replace the reference to weight with the word frequency. So instead of the word weight, because sometimes it's just not the actual weights, but it's actually the frequency, how many times it appears. So frequency. Instead of that, we're going to use the word frequency. Okay. Now there's going to be a new formula over here. This is also weighted mean, but instead of the actual um, weights, they talk about frequency, how many times it shows up. So the score. Okay, so each of these carries a different weight or different importance. So how strikeouts, these are the scores, and then the frequency, how many strikeouts is there? Strikeouts, there are 5 times. Frequency, I'm just going to write down how many times. Okay, so how many strikeouts? If there's a strikeout, that is the score is 0. How many times did he get strikeout? 5 times. Single, okay, he's gonna get 1 point for a single, but then the frequency, how many singles does he have? 4 times. Doubles, so the score for doubles is 2. How many doubles are there? There's 5 of them. So that's the strikeout, single, double, triple. A triple is worth 3 points, but then how many triples are there? There's 6 of them. And then home runs. Home runs are worth 4 marks or 4 scores. And how many home runs are there? Is 8. Okay, so score. This is the strikeout. This is singles, double, triple, home run. Okay, so this one is a different weighted mean. It's still weighted mean, but it's done a little bit differently. So how do we do that? Weighted mean. Okay, let's see if I can squeeze it in. This is the score. You get a 0 if you get a strikeout. Frequency, how many strikeouts are there? Times 5 plus, okay, 1, score of 1 for a single. How many times did it appear? 4 times plus doubles, 2 doubles. How many times it appeared? Timesing it by 5 plus, so this helps have more room. Where am I? 2 times 5. Triples. How many times did it appear? 6 times. Plus home runs. How many times it appeared? 8 times. Ooh. Okay, there you go. Divided by instead of sum of weights, it's going to be sum of the frequency. So if we add all of these up, this one tells us it's going to be 5, 10, 20, 28. Okay, So the total is 28. There you go. Now, as you can see, I already told you earlier at the beginning of this lesson, we said we're going to have a whole bunch of multiplication and additions. So this is what I've seen other people do. Okay, so we multiply first. It's like following orders of operation, right? We learned that in grade 11. Orders of operation is BEDMAS, so multiply first before addition. So 0 times 5 is 0. So they do the multiplication first. They do the multiplication first. I'm going to do this part here. Multiplication first. 0 times 5 is 0, plus 1 times 4 is 4, plus 2 times 5 is 10, plus 3 times 6 is 18, plus 4 times 8 is 32. Okay, and still divided by 28. And then now, this is a lot easier to manage. You have 0 plus 4 plus 10. It's going to be 64 divided by 28. And 64 divided by 28 is 2.29. Okay, so this person is going to have 2.29 points or batting average. Okay, per game. Okay, so that means this person can have 2.29 points. Okay. So now let's take a look at example number 4. Example number 4 to kind of help us out a bit. It says here, example 4. In a math class of 15 students, 8 students scored 75%, 5 students scored 80, and 2 students scored 90. Okay, so 15 students are in a class. 8 students scored 75, and then 5 scored 80, and then 2 students scored 90. Calculate the mean for the class. So if we were to write it all out, there are 15 students. 8 students scored 75%, so it would be 75. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so 8 students got 75. And then 5 students got an 80. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 students. And then 2 students scored 90. 2 students scored 90. So that's basically what the data looks like, right? And is there 15 of them? Yeah, there's 15 of them. So 8 plus 5 is 13, plus 2 is 15. So that's all 15 students. Now, if we ask you what is the mean or the average for this class, one way of doing that is to add them all up and then dividing it by 15, right? So we can use mean calculation. Okay, So we can use the mean calculation for this. So we can go mean. And then if we add them all up, all of these up, what would it add up to? Now you're probably thinking, oh, that's going to be a long time punching all these numbers into my calculator, right? So there has to be another way of figuring this out. How can I figure this out without like adding 75 plus 75 plus 75 plus 75 plus 75 plus 80 plus 80 plus 80 plus 80 plus, and right? That's going to be awfully large amount of calculation. So what we can do, excuse me, what we can do is we can use weighted means for here, for this one. Weighted mean using frequency. Okay, so I'm gonna organize it first and then I'll do the calculation over here. So here, this is the score. And then over here, this is the frequency. Okay, so the score, well, somebody scored 75%. And then they tell us how many scored 75. That's a frequency. How many times did it, how many students scored 75? There's eight of them. Okay. Scored 80%, so that's the score. And then they tell you, well, frequency, what's a frequency? 5, because there's 5 of them that scored 80. And then scored 90%, scores 90%. How many, what's a frequency? That's 2. Okay. I'm going to add the total frequency here. That's going to be 15. The total frequency. Okay, so how can we do the calculation in a much faster way, much efficient way using weighted mean? Weighted mean. So weighted mean, we do the score times frequency times 8 plus score is 80 times frequency of 5 plus score of 90 times 2 divided by the total frequency, means 15. Okay, weighted mean. Running out of room in here. So 75 times 8. I could do all of that. That's no problem. I'll do it all at once. So not a lot of them anyway. Okay, so that's 1,180 divided by 15. I'm just going to double check that again. Yeah. 1,180 divided by 15 is 78.67%. So the average of the class, oops, sorry, can't really see that low, is 78.67%. So as you can see, we could do it the normal way for mean, but that just takes a long time to add them all up. And that's only 15, right? But if there's like 40 students. That's going to be too much calculation. Okay, so let's do the last example here. Last example would be the table shows the amount of money spent on tickets for an upcoming concert at a small venue. Determine the mean amount of money spent on tickets. So this is the ticket price, that's the score. And then this one, oh, this one's nice because it's already organized in a table. Times the frequency, score times frequency, score times frequency, score. So let's just figure that out. Weighted mean. $50. So that's the score times the weight, which is the frequency, times 3, plus 75 times 7, plus 95 times 9, plus 130 times 4. Okay. Divided by the total frequency. What's the total frequency? That's going to be 10, 19, 23. Okay. So weighted mean. Weighted mean. So there's some space in here. So what I can do is I can multiply these ones first. I can probably show my work. Show my work here. So 50 times 3, that's not too bad, 150. Plus 75 times 7, it's 525. Plus 95 times 9, 855. Plus 130 times 4, it's 520. Divided that by 23. Okay, I have to use the orders of operations. So I multiplied first. I'll just keep going here. Now I'm going to add all of these up in the numerator, the top number. Is 2050 divided by 23. Divided by 23 is 89. 89, 13. Okay, now you're probably thinking, well, what's the unit for this one? Okay, so what's a unit? Everything in here is dollars times, okay, everything up here is dollars. So that's $2,050. And at the bottom, that's 23. That's 23 tickets. So if we get to this point, that's going to be $89 per one ticket. And that's the average or mean amount of money spent on tickets. Okay, or 89.13 per ticket. Okay, so to summarize, I'll give you a moment to copy that down. If you're copying this down, If you have any questions, please type it into the live chat or some kind of a comment. So today what we did is we talked about the weighted mean, how to calculate it. Okay. So we have kind of like a two formula going on in here for weighted mean. So we have a formula for weighted mean at the beginning. It says here score times weight divided by the sum of the weights. We did that. And then we also had a formula. It's also weighted mean, but instead of weights, we've changed the word weights with the score frequency. So we got this formula here. So what we're gonna do, there's gonna be some practice questions for you to try, certainly. These are your practice questions. I highly suggest that you give them a try. There are 10 questions. Please show your work and yeah, show your work and also double check at the back of the book for the correct answers. They're given to you at the back. Also, later on, I'm going to give you the answer to the practice question, not for hand-in practice questions that I gave you last week. I'll be posting the answer key for that one as well. Okay, so I leave that with you, and you have quite a bit of time for you to do some of your other work. Okay, so um, again, I just want to say thank you very much for listening to this uh, live stream, and I hope that if you have any questions, just send me an email through the blog, and then I will respond to you um, in a timely manner. Okay, but for now, I'll leave that with you, and yeah, I wish you a happy, good day. Thank you. Bye bye.